Good evening. My name is Darius Montgomery, and I'm going to talk about the impacts between Marbury and Madison, which actually changed the judicial branch entirely from the U.S. Constitution. So, the three branches currently would be the legislative, the executive, and judicial. When back then in the 1800s, the legislative branch was the one that is holding the Congress, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. They're the ones that make the laws. The executive branch, which was the president and vice president and the cabinet, they were the ones that carried out the laws of the land. The judicial branch, however, during that time frame, they they didn't have anything to balance out between the legislative and executive branches. They were just a party figure itself. So Marbury and versus Madison, they were the ones that changed the outlet completely to help the judicial branch. So Marbury versus Madison, this is actually one of the consequential legal action decision that was in our nation's history, because it established the concept of judicial review with the United States to find out if things were deemed unconstitutional during the time frame of the cases that were brought out. This aspect between Marbury and Madison changed completely from the 1800s. So during that time frame, Thomas Jefferson, he defeated John Adams for the 1800 presidential election. Before Thomas Jefferson took office, Adams and the Congress, they passed a law. It was called the Judiciary Act in 1801, and it just created new courts, added judges, and gave the president more control over appointments of the judges. The act was attempted by Adams and his party, basically just to frustrate Thomas Jefferson during that aspect of that time. And the appointees, they were approved by the Senate, but they would not be valid until their commissions were delivered by the Secretary of the State. So during that time, William Marbury was appointed Justice of the Peace of the District of Columbia, and his commission wasn't delivered to him. So Marbury petitioned to the Supreme Court to see if he can receive his documents by the new Secretary of the State, which was James Madison. However, Madison didn't deliver them per se, and more so, he actually petitioned for a writ of mandamus, which was compelling the delivery of the commissions itself. So Marbury and Madison went to court, and again through the Supreme Court, and they wanted to see if modifying anything regarding the Constitution would be deemed unconstitutional. The Marshal himself reasoned that the Judiciary Act of 1789, it actually conflicted with the Constitution. So the Congress didn't have the power to modify any of the Constitution itself, even though that the regular legislating was because of the supremacy clause based places that was the Constitution before the laws. So basically, Marshall established that the principle of the judicial review and the power to declare the law itself unconstitutional. With the judicial branch today, many cases now would, because of the situation with Marbury versus Madison, many cases now are being constantly reviewed by Supreme Court if it has to go up to that ladder to see if it's deemed unconstitutional against the United States Constitution. There's many different amendments that would be questioned, such as like freedom of speech, right to bear arms, search and seizure amendments, rights, anything regarding this situation that is found unconstitutional or could be found unconstitutional is being reviewed by the Supreme Court. Changes that I think that back then should be changed now would be the change in technology. Mainly because they didn't have the technology that we have on the 21st century. Nobody had phones, nobody had powered cars like we do, or freedom of speech in the sense of how it is today versus back then. So usually technology now is more modern and people are using it every day. So there's also going to be privacy actions that could be violated or breached based off of hacking, and there should be rights that should be protected based off of that action, where the Supreme Court can review it and deem things that are unconstitutional with privacy with technology. And this is my review of Marbury versus Madison and the impacts that they changed the aspect of the judicial branch. Thank you.